Hello guys, 10 Gadgets here. Welcome back to the channel. Let's help this channel grow. I am really excited to announce that we have crossed 3,000 subscribers and we are still moving forward. But I have a special video today. This is Samsung A52 budget smartphone. You can pick up this phone on Amazon for $365. What this phone gives you for the price, Samsung really does a hell of a job in building budget smartphones that you can afford and don't feel left out of the phone game. Don't feel like, okay, I don't have $1,000 phone, but I have a $300 phone and it still gives me a pretty decent feature that is complementable to your high-end specs smartphone. So if you got a high spec smartphone, you don't need to buy another high spec smartphone. You can get a budget smartphone, or if you are kind of money shy right now, I think, and you're on the market for a new smartphone, I feel like you should consider looking at this phone right in front of you. So this is the Samsung A52, but I'm not just here to talk about this phone in its totality, just as far as look goes. I'm here to really dive deep into the phone and why I think this is the best phone for you if you're money shy or if you're looking for another phone to complement your flagship phone, just something you can have for work or to pick calls that you don't necessarily pick on your flagship phone, or just the phone that is your everyday daily driver go-to phone. You know what I'm saying? So let's look at this phone in a nutshell. Samsung A52 technology is a GSM, so if you have your AT&T, your Metro PCS, I can't think of any other GSM carriers out there, but I know those two pretty much. If you are a AT&T user, this is the phone for you. Now for this particular version I got here with me, I bought the international version, so right out of the gate it doesn't come in English, but it's easy. You just have to change the language setting to English. There is really nothing too significant about it, but the good thing about this phone is you can use this phone anywhere at any time in any country available. All you have to do is just switch your SIMs or whatever, or the language, and it's already there for you. It's just there. So it's an international version of phone. I don't think there's a US version. I think it's international only, and it has 3 colors. This version that I bought right here, you see with me, it's black, but Samsung calls it awesome black. So you have awesome black, awesome white, and awesome violet, something like that. So this is the awesome black, and it's plastic, so it does really well with heat, and yeah, and it's really light. It's about 6.7 ounces. But anyway, let's go deep into the phone. So as for the display, you're looking at a Super AMOLED display, 90 Hertz. The size of the phone is 6.5 inches. The resolution of the phone is 1080p by 2400 pixels, 20.9 ratio, and 407 for the PPI Patrol. Protection, you're looking at the Gorilla Glass 5. As for platform, it comes Android OS 11 pre-installed. Chipset, Qualcomm Snapdragon 720G, pretty much mid-range spec phone, mid-spec for the chipset. And for the CPU, you're looking at an octa-core CPU, Adreno 518 GPU. For the memory, this phone comes with a 128 GB storage. For the main camera, 64 megapixel f aperture 1.8. You have a 12 megapixel aperture 2.2 ultra wide angle. You have your 5 megapixel aperture 2.4 macro, and you have a 5 megapixel aperture 2.4 depth. Now for the features, LED flash, panorama, and high dynamic range. For the video, it will shoot 4K at 30 frames per second. It will shoot 1080p at 30/60 frames per second, and it has image stabilization. For the size of the front camera, you're looking at a 32 megapixel 2.2 aperture wide angle, HDR ready, 4K 30 FPS and 1080p 60 frames per second. For sound, you have your speaker, stereo speakers, and 3.5mm jack. So you have your AirPods, your earpiece, you can plug it in, or your auxiliary cable for your cars, you can plug it in, and that is really nice. So what other features does it have? It has fingerprint sensor, it has face recognition, which I think that is a little bit of the downside of the phone. The face recognition is not all the way Apple, but for a $300 phone, I mean, it does really well. And then you have your pattern unlock, regular Android, and then your passcode as well. So for the battery, we're looking at a 4,500 milliamp battery. You cannot change the battery. The battery comes embedded in the phone, so you can't take it out and get a new battery. And then fast charging, 25 watts, so it'll go from 0 to 50% in 30 minutes. That is dope. That is really dope. So for a $300 phone, you're pretty much getting a full mid-range, not flagship specs, but you're pretty getting a decent smartphone for $365 or something around that range. I'm looking at the phone, so I tested the phone out with the camera, saw how the camera works. It feels great in hand. It's not overly heavy, it's not heavy at all carrying the phone around. So if you have another phone and you have this phone alongside with it, it's hardly adding to any weight or anything in your pocket. And by the way, everyone pretty much carries 2 or 3 phones in the modern era, so it really doesn't do anything to add one more phone to your collection as well. It doesn't do anything. And for the recording, yeah, the camera does a really great job. I tried out the camera and I was pretty impressed with the camera. Now this phone is IP67 dust and water resistant, which is really a good information for you to know. So yeah, you can pretty much take this thing to the pool and you're fine, or if something splashes on it, you're good. You're good. Pretty solid build quality. I love the sleekness, the sleek design that it has. And I'm looking at this phone and I'm looking at the screen. The screen is really, really great. So looking at this screen right here, has just brightness. The screen brightness, as you know, I love turning my phone brightness on maximum. I don't really like using my phone brightness on the minimum brightness because I don't see the point of having a really good phone with a nice screen and then you kill the vibe by reducing the brightness. I don't see the use at all. But some people are kind of not really have eyes issues, so I can see them reducing the brightness of their phones, but I don't do that. Always on display, maximum brightness. That's how I roll. So I tried out the phone with YouTube. I got to say I wasn't really too impressed with YouTube, with watching videos on YouTube, especially videos that are in 4K, because I thought at 90 Hz I should get some decent smoothness watching YouTube videos on 4K, but apparently 90 Hz is not really enough to watch 4K videos. And since the phone offers 4K at 30 FPS, I thought it looked great complementing with that 90 Hz display, but apparently it didn't. Then I tried it out watching videos 1080p to see 60 FPS. I still didn't technically enjoy watching on 60 FPS also, especially a really good, clean, quality looking video, because I shoot my videos in 4K and sometimes I shoot in 1080p 60 frames per second. It depends on what I'm in the mood for at a particular time. Like right now I'm shooting in 1080p 60 FPS, but when I watch my videos on YouTube that are 1080p 60 FPS with the smartphone, I didn't feel that 90 Hz vibe at all. But again, it's not really bad. It's not something that is not tolerable basically, but I just have to say with someone like myself, I really it's a point to actually nail that refresh rate. I love that a lot. But again, like I said before, it's really for the average consumer or the budget consumers, basically people who are in the market for budget smartphones, I just feel like this phone shouldn't be overlooked. Now I will get the Samsung A52 as well, and I will compare it with this phone and I'll see how it works. But again, thank you guys for watching my video. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe, leave a like, comment, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you guys.